The government's being challenged in court today over part of its roadmap. Non-essential shops in England are being allowed to open on April the 12th, but restaurants, pubs, cafes, hospitality in general can't open indoors until May the 17th. One of those bringing the legal action is Sacha Lord, nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester. Good morning.
Good morning.
And you wanted the government to bring forward evidence, didn't you, on this decision?
Well, correct. We asked for evidence, and yesterday we received a response from the government, and they could not give us any more significant evidence whatsoever. So yes, we are going to take this now to judicial review at the High Court.
And why do you think it's so important for hospitality to open indoors earlier? I mean, it's only a month earlier, isn't it?
Well, it's 5 weeks earlier. And look, let me make this absolutely clear. This is not us versus non-essential retail at all. But what we're simply saying is this. The government asked us to spend tens of millions of pounds in putting all these measures in place to create safe environments. That's exactly what we did. We did what was asked of us. Now, we're not saying let's go back to normality where people are queuing at the bar and busy pubs and things like that. What we are saying is we feel, the industry, that it is safe to enter a venue wearing a mask through a one-way system, to sit at a table where you order via QR code, there is track and trace, hand sanitizer, there is only table service, and you pay at the table by card. We feel that that is a safe, regulated, in a licensed environment, as opposed to swerving in and out of shops that are non-essential retail. We've put all those measures in place.
Now, there is a view of some scientists that opening up the hospitality sector could lead to a bump in COVID cases. For example, Dr. Begelin from Imperial College sits on Sage. He says that even a partial reopening would generate an increase in the R number.
Well, I think he's quite right if that was normality without the measures in place. But actually, with those measures that I've just discussed, it is a safe environment. And let me just throw into the mix this as well. If you remember lockdown 1, how good the weather was to begin with. At the moment now, I can go into any supermarket and I can buy as much alcohol as I want unchallenged. If in the next couple of weeks we revisit the same weather that we had in lockdown 1, undoubtedly people will be mixing in gardens. We saw yesterday across the country, students were mixing in parks, celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, but that is against the rules, isn't it? I mean, they may be doing it, but it's against the rules.
Absolutely.
But
I totally agree.
Is that a reason to encourage more relaxation of rules rather than tightening the ones that are already there?
You're quite right, but what I'm saying is if these places are open, that are licensed, that are regulated, with all those measures in place, it is safer to create those. So that's all we're simply saying. Look, we've spent all this money, we've created these safe environments, and Sage's own advice is the safest places are those with ventilation. Well, the vast majority of hospitality has extremely good ventilation, as opposed to some non-essential retail outlets that don't.
Sure, and I think everyone does appreciate how much efforts people in that industry have made. But then again, you know, some scientists are saying it's bringing alcohol into the mix indoors, and looking at what happened in Scotland, in Aberdeen. Contact tracing there had to happen, well, after contact tracing happened, a local lockdown was imposed, and it showed that the outbreak was triggered by a small number of infectious people entering hospitality venues.
Yes, and do you know what? It is a small number of people. Obviously, Sage is made up of many, many different scientists. They all have different views. A minority have said that. And I would agree with them if you stood at the bar and there were no measures. But you were sat at a table. You know, when you go into a pub or a restaurant, it is one of the most licensed, regulated sectors in the UK, and we saw when we were in Tier 2 those few shining days in Greater Manchester that we were in Tier 2. Let's not forget we had the toughest restrictions probably in the whole of the UK. You know, we did see that it was incredible what the industry did, and there is no reason at all why, with all those measures in place, it can't come. You know, we just need to bring that back.